And here's how things are the day after Sour Patch Kids. Oh yeah. So last night, I ate a bunch of Sour Patch Kids before bed, and I woke up feeling better than ever, and this is something you can do too. So in today's video, I'm gonna show you how. So sugar has probably the worst reputation ever, and people are more afraid of it than they should be, because sugar is only bad if you are eating in a caloric surplus and eating tons of sugar. So if you are in a caloric deficit, eating enough protein, eating enough veggies and fiber, having some sugar is irrelevant to fat loss and general health. So not only that, but by keeping some flexibility in your diet, you technically never fall off track, because there is no off track. So when you start to understand this is a method that preaches healthy habits and moderation, and it allows you to keep up a social life and enjoy the foods you love without spending hours on meal prep. So studies have actually shown that people who are eating enough calories but are very restrictive and aren't incorporating foods they love have a harder time adhering to their diet than those who are incorporating foods they love. So basically, studies have also shown that incorporating some sugar has no negative impact on fat loss as long as calories and protein are hit. So I have a link to that study in the description box below. So check that out if you don't believe me, because I want more people to know that you can have some sugar in moderation. Like, it's not some freaking horrible thing that you have to cut out completely. Whenever people, like, sometimes if someone hasn't seen me for a while and they see the transformation I've made, they're like, oh my gosh, did you cut out sugar? And I'm like, no, absolutely not. So we're gonna go over that, because this needs to be cleared. This is too much. So you might be wondering, how do I determine what a good amount of sweets is to incorporate in the day? Well, okay, so the guidelines I said a minute ago about hitting your calories, hitting your protein, hitting your fiber and veggies, that is honestly good enough, because if you are staying within those numbers, naturally there's just not room to overeat sugar. If you ate too much sugar, you would end up being either over your calories, or maybe you would be under on protein, or maybe you ate no vegetables, or had 5 grams of fiber. Like, you just can't do it while hitting all those other numbers. So quick little recap, I will have other videos on this, but calories, a basic way to calculate it is body weight times 12 to 13. It's not 100%, but this is just me quickly giving you a way you can calculate it. Protein anywhere from, protein anywhere from 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight is good. If you have more weight to lose, you would want to go on the lower end, like towards the 0.7. If you're not really if you don't need to lose a lot of weight, then go more towards the 1 gram. So the biggest thing is knowing how to pre-plan this, because if you're not used to tracking and you're not used to incorporating treats like this, you can mess up if you're not used to it, because what can happen is you'll go through your day, you'll be eating these treats, and then it'll be towards the end of the day, and then you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, I am almost at my calories and I'm not even close to my protein goal. So pre-planning initially is going to really, really help you, and eventually it's gonna be so easy. So I'm gonna show you how I pre-planned my day yesterday so I could perfectly fit in some sugar. And this is so important, because extreme approaches result in extreme disappointment. Write that one down, write it on your wall, write it on your forehead, put it on the fridge. If you are taking an extreme approach to lose weight, you are gonna be disappointed, because 100% you're gonna gain the weight back. 100%. Like, I will bet $1 million on it. Every single time somebody ignores my advice and I'm trying to say this nicely, but there's been a few times where someone doing a program of mine ends up they ignore me and they eat way less than I recommended, and then what ends up happening in a few months? They start struggling with binging. Like, you just can't undereat, you guys. So anyways, this is just going off on a separate tangent, but basically what I'm saying is there's nothing wrong with including some sweets in moderation. So now I'm gonna show you how I pre-plan that. Okay, oh, I dropped it. So step one is to first track the treat you want. So do that before you track anything else. So I know I'm gonna have Sour Patch Kids. I'm gonna start off with just their regular recommended serving size. I've tracked that in, and we're good to go. Okay, so now that you've got the treat planned in, step two is planning things that you know you're gonna eat every day. So I knew I was gonna have my, this is my pre-workout. I know I was gonna have my green supplement. There's not really a point in tracking the BCAAs, but I just got them and I thought I just wanted to track it, okay? So I did, but 5 calories, no, not really worth it to track. I usually wouldn't, to be honest, but I did. So yeah, so say if you have coffee with milk every day, like that would be included in this. Anything that's like an essential that you have every day. So track that in. So there you go. Okay, all right. Oh gosh, oh no, that's not what I wanted. Okay, so it's currently 7:30 a.m. I have been up working for a few hours since 4:30, and now I'm going to go for a little walk just to take a break, and I'm having a little drink of my green powder, Athletic Greens. So yeah, and then I think after this I'm gonna have a protein bar. I'll see how I feel, but yeah, just a little thing I start the day with. So next step 3, is to plan in your protein sources. So I know at breakfast I want to have half a cup of egg whites and an egg. I know for the meal after that, for mid-afternoon I'm gonna have my protein hot chocolate in my coffee. So I'm not always a protein powder everyday kind of gal, but I just got this brand in and it's actually freaking delicious. So I chose to eat it twice today, or 1.5 times, I guess, because I have my protein hot chocolate, and then later as a snack I've got half a scoop of blueberry cheesecake protein planned. So usually that would have actually been in food, but it's just so good. So yeah, and then for my other meal I've got 200 grams of cod. So that's like decent amounts of protein dispersed throughout the day right there. So far we are only at 84 grams of protein. However, some of the other foods I'm going to be adding in do have trace sources of protein, so that it will end up being correct. So, but that leads to the next step is plan in your veggies. So if you're eating very large amounts of veggies like I do, you're actually gonna hit your protein from that. Okay, so here is the meal. So we've got just some white bread, and with half a cup egg whites with an egg and the light shredded cheese, the 2 teaspoons of olive oil, 1 teaspoon went in the broccoli, 1 teaspoon was drizzled across the bread, and then I've also put Himalayan salt. So it is a pretty simple meal. If I wanted to like make it more exciting, I could, but I chose not to. So yeah, because I wanted to save extra room for the candy.
What about you guys? What about you guys? Do you guys want some candy? These little dogs cannot have any more candy. You guys can't have any. You guys can't have any. Alright, and now I'm gonna eat this. Bon appetit. Bon appetit. Oh, 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 oh.
Alright, so I put in my veggies. I've got 280 grams of broccoli, so that's quite a big serving size. And then I've got 200 grams of green beans. So that puts me at 96 protein. We're getting there. The goal is like 120 to 130. So now, obviously at my meals that aren't like, I'm not just gonna eat these like, I'm not gonna eat egg whites and broccoli on its own for breakfast. I mean, so I feel like it's probably weird to have broccoli for breakfast, but I freaking love it. But anyways, so next we're gonna just put in our like complementary carbs and fats in each meal. Alright, so I know I love having some olive oil with my broccoli, so I've tracked that in. I know I would like to have some light shredded cheese on my egg, so I've tracked that in. Side note, my fitness pal is drunk. Chede wit. All right. And then I know with my protein hot chocolate, I'm gonna be having it as a coffee. So I'm gonna put 1 tablespoon of cream. And because I still had some room left in the calories, we're only at 1,000 and we're close to protein. I was like, you know what? Instead of sweetener, we're gonna have 2 teaspoons of sugar. And same as with the cream. Like sometimes I would have almond milk, but there was room. So I had the cream and it was freaking delicious. Now I'm just, I'm stirring up my next little snack. I mean, yeah, we typically don't look at stuff like this and think, oh, that's a snack, but this is a snack. It's a snack. Stirry, 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 stirry. Okay, now it's all mixed up, all beautiful. So basically, this just came with the protein, or it didn't come with the protein, but the brand has this because if it's hot, you don't want to be shaking the protein. So this is my coffee hot chocolate, my mocha. So we've got this protein hot chocolate from Beaumar Nutrition, and it is freaking delicious with coffee. And then I've got some cream and 2 teaspoons of sugar. I thoroughly feel like I'm having like a really nice treat when I have this. I just cut off my head. I can't stop mixing it. It's really fun. I don't know why, but I really feel like I have a nice treat when I have this. And I'm extremely impressed with how good it tastes because I'm not usually a fan of chocolate protein powder. Just like anything protein and chocolate flavored, I find it usually has like a really fake taste, but this actually tastes like, it actually tastes like a nice hot chocolate in coffee. A nice mocha hot chocolate. It tastes better today than it did yesterday. Why? Oh my god. Maybe yesterday I only put 1, I don't know, but it's delicious, and this is my next little bit of sugar until later, until tonight. It's only like 1 p.m. right now. So the good times are still gonna keep on coming. The good times keep on coming. Just did a little cardio session. Feeling good. Don't mind this ladder. Yeah, and now it's time for our first full meal. Woot woot, woot woot. So now we see we're already at we're at 107 protein, so we're getting there. We're kind of low on fiber, so we're gonna want to add in some fiber. So what I'm gonna do is have some oats and some raspberries. So we're gonna enter that in just because I know offhand that oats are a decent source of fibers. And I mean, obviously the broccoli and stuff are, but it didn't do the job. It didn't fully get me there. So because I'm having more carbs from the sugars, I'm only going to have, instead of having a full serving of the raspberries, I'm just gonna have 2/3 of a cup, so which is actually 100 grams. And then what we do next is go back over here. We're like, alrighty, 26 grams of fiber, that's good, I can work with that. We're like 113 protein, that's good. Now, although I do not like have a goal carbs and fats, I do make sure my fats are at a good amount. So 36 is a little bit on the low side. Yeah, by a good amount, I mean, you wanna make sure you're having enough fats, otherwise it's not good for your health if you're not having fats. So we wanna add some extra fats. I'm down for that. So where are we gonna do that? Well, let's take a little look-see. We also want a little bit of extra protein. So basically, it would make sense to spice this meal up because it's a little bit boring right now. So to add a little bit of extra protein, we're gonna add 50 grams of egg whites because when cooked in, you can't taste it. And then we're gonna add, just to save some room, we're gonna start off with powdered peanut butter. So that puts us at 1446. And then that gets us 127 protein. So we are there. We're good. We're good to go.
with the protein. We still need some other things because we're still only at 1446. So now is when we have to kind of think, like, we're gonna say, okay, so we're like, we've hit our fiber, we've had some large servings of vegetables, some fruit, and then that's gonna make me come to the conclusion, like, you know what? I've had enough of like things high in nutrients, so I think I am good to increase the serving of the Sour Patch Kids. Woo! Woo! So you're gonna test it out and you're gonna see how much you can fit. So we have a serving and a half. Bam! 1521 calories, and we still have room. So what next? What next? So if I use my brain, I'm gonna look at my breakfast and I'm gonna be like, okay, this is a little bit small because I don't actually have my breakfast at breakfast time. I have my breakfast pretty late in the morning, but this is small. This is not gonna satisfy me. This is after my workout. I'm gonna want some carbs to replenish my system. So I'm gonna add some bread. And let's see, oh yeah, then that puts me at 1700 calories. We've got our essential supplements. We've got a nice big filling breakfast. We've got our little snack, our little pick-me-up. We've got our, honestly, so I space my meals out weirdly. I actually just had this right before all of this. But anyways, so this is like my boring dinner snack thing that usually would have more with it, but because I was saving room for the other stuff, this was smaller. And then we've got the oats and all that jazz. And then we've got, I had the little blueberry cheesecake protein halfway through the day as a little snackaroo. And then we've got our Sour Patch Kids for 60 grams. So as you can see, we're getting in all of our essentials. We're hitting our protein, we're having some vegetables, we're getting in our carbs, we're getting in our fiber, we're getting in, I'm getting so passionate here, we're getting in our fats. My fats are at 40, so that's fine. I actually usually have a little bit more than that. But you know, that is totally fine. So as you can see, we've hit our numbers, we've had our nutrients, we're good to go. Something is wrong here though, because this is more than 35 grams of sugar, so somebody fucked up. Let me assess this situation. That is something you have to keep an eye on in MyFitnessPal. I mean, I'm not tracking exactly how much sugar I'm having, but clearly something is wrong because this is not that low sugar. Who messed up? Who did this? Oh, so apparently I wasn't even really using my brain because that's actually not even that much sugar for a whole day, like only 35 grams. I mean, obviously I didn't have much fruit, so I didn't get any natural sugars, but yeah, that's pretty insane. Like, it just goes to show that a little bit of sugar in moderation can easily be worked in. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Easy peasy Sour Patch Kids squeezy. Okay, and now we've got our cod, our green beans, and it has olive oil and Himalayan salt. And on the cod, I've got this chipotle mango. Now I have 1 teaspoon of olive oil on the cod and 1 teaspoon on the green beans. And then if I'm not using olive oil, I'll use cooking spray. So rule of thumb, always track your olive oil. Always. Recently, I've been obsessed with having it on veggies, so I've been having it on veggies a lot. So side note, this meal is much more plain because I'm saving room for the sugar. So, like, for the candy later. If I wasn't having the candy, I'd be having, say, maybe with some rice, just some I'd be having some carbs with this, but that's how this works. If you want to have some sugar, you have to sacrifice some carbs from somewhere else. So, yes. But this is actually yummy. It looks boring, but it's actually quite yum. Quite yum. Oh, yeah.
So, Obviously, because I am so experienced with tracking, I don't really it doesn't take much pre-planning. Like, I can kind of just plan stuff in, put stuff in, and it's pretty much right first try. But if you're new at this, it's not gonna run as smoothly as it did when I just showed you. Like, you might find that you track everything and then you're gonna look back and be like, ah, damn, I've hit my calories, but I'm under on protein. Or you'll just be like just different things are gonna be off, and that's okay. That's the whole point in pre-planning, because then you can go back to your diary. I don't know why that makes me laugh. Your nutrition diary, that's what they call it, right? Oh yeah, they do. You can go back to your diary and you can just make little adjustments, and then you just keep going back and checking. So this might sound tedious and annoying, but once you're used to it, it takes like 3 seconds, and like, what do you get out of this? You get to eat sugar and you get abs. So it's pretty good payoff in my opinion. So yeah, just keep at it. It can be frustrating at first when you're just learning, but just keep in mind what foods have protein, what foods have carbs, what foods have fat, and then make adjustments accordingly.
It's gonna be yummy. These are frozen raspberries, and I microwave them for 2 minutes, and then it gets nice and like liquidy, and it's so good. It's so good. Okay, this is like, this is so sad. Does anyone see how small this serving size is? This is 88 grams. So that's still, like, this is such a pitiful serving size. This is such a pitiful serving size. It's like, okay, well, I just like eating a lot, okay? And this is so small. I'm sad. Wait, did I put the right amount back in? Yeah. Wow. These are not very, I don't have these very often, clearly. I don't usually weigh them. It's usually more of like a free-for-all. I said I was gonna have 60 grams. We got 67.
Okay, so we're gonna do a little recap on how to go about tracking your fun foods. So, step 1, tracking the treat. Step 2, tracking the essentials like your supplements, your coffee. Step 3, tracking your protein sources. Step 4, tracking your veggies. Step 5, add in your extra carbs and fats. Now, step 4 and 5 is when the fiber is gonna be added in, so that's when you're gonna keep an eye out on that, because you're probably not gonna get the fiber from the treat. You're probably not gonna, unless you take a fiber supplement, you're probably not gonna get it from the essentials, and you're not gonna get it from the protein either, unless it's edamame, my new obsession. And then step 6, make adjustments where necessary. And that's how you do it. So we're gonna go into a little bit more of a technical question next. Okay, so if you want a little bit more of a technical explanation, basically 20 to 30% of your daily carbs can be made up of sugary type carbs, and you're fine. Now, this isn't something you need to be obsessively calculating all the time, because if you're hitting your protein, calories, all the steps, if you're doing the treats, essential, protein, veggies, all this stuff, it will actually work itself out to around 20 to 30%, because yesterday when I planned in my treats, I only used this little protocol. And then at the end, out of curiosity, I was like, let's see what percentage of my total carbs are sugary carbs. So I calculated it. So in the end, because I don't have a goal, carb goal or fats, I just hit protein and calories and let everything else just work itself out. At the end of the day, I was at 190 carbs. So 30% of that would be 56 grams of sugary carbs. guess what I hit? It's right behind me. I had 60 grams of carbs. So that's actually really, really close because slight fluctuations are fine. So that just goes to show that you don't need to be obsessively calculating it every day, because if you're hitting the other numbers, it works out. So the Sour Patch Kids were 52 grams of carbs and the sugar was 8. So, I mean, I could have left out the sugar and just had a sweetener instead, but I wanted it. So I had it and it was fine. So as you can see, like, it really works out pretty easily, and it's gonna make this such a lifestyle, and it's so awesome and wonderful. And you just have no reason to be afraid of sugar, because the numbers say you can eat it, and eat it you can. So I'm not saying that, I need to put this down. I'm not saying that you have to eat sugar every day. You don't have to. Like, if you genuinely want to just eat non-sugary stuff, you totally can. I have sweat marks. I have days where I don't actually want sugar, which is surprising because I used to be like obsessed with sugar. But I don't eat sugar every day, not because I think it's unhealthy, but just sometimes I won't really be in the mood. And another thing that you do have to pay attention to is if you are filling your calories with more sugary type stuff, it's not as filling. So as you saw, the clip of the Sour Patch Kids, the serving size of Sour Patch Kids was like really small. For how many calories was it? Let's see. The serving size was 225 calories. 225 calories for that little tiny bowl. Like, that's not very satiating, especially for someone eating only 1,700 calories. Like I said, for me, that's like really, really low calorie. So it's not my... It's like you can, and you will not have any negative effects for your results, but mentally you might not feel as satisfied. You might feel hungrier throughout the day. You just like, so that's your issue there, right there. So as long as you have the motivation to still stick to your, I'm knocking things down. There's like a little air freshener here, cause I frickin' stink. As long as you have the motivation to just ignore the hunger, it's fine, but it is something to keep in mind. And like, again, say 225 grams of something healthier, 225 calories of something healthier, you would have like much larger amounts. So it is the Sour Patch Kids is such a low volume food, so it is something to be aware of in that case. If you don't have a lot of calories to work with, it's not gonna be as filling. So that is a downside. But the reason I am wanting to share this is because a lot of people will have a little bit of sugar and then they'll be like, the day is ruined, my results are ruined, I'm gonna be fat now, oh my gosh, this day is a disaster, this week is a disaster, I should just give up now and eat 10,000 calories. And like, I understand, because I used to be like that. It's usually the guilt that makes you spiral out of control. So by showing people that having a reasonable amount of calories is not unhealthy in any way, as long as you're already healthy. If you're somebody with an existing health condition, then the case is different. But if you are somebody with no chronic health issues or anything like that, you're good to do this. And you can just know that if sometimes you slip up and you have some sweets, it does not mean your progress is ruined at all. It does not mean the rest of the day is ruined. It doesn't mean anything is ruined. It means you simply carry on and you're good to go. So it's really helping with that mindset. So it's very, very important to remember all of this. Okay, so the moral of the story is that sugar is not bad. Really, there's no food that's bad. There's no good and bad foods. There's just foods that you want to have a little more of. and foods you want to have a little less of. And it's the best way to go about your journey because it's so much more sustainable. You'll maintain your results forever. So if you guys found this helpful, check out some of my other videos. Everything I share is geared to show you how to make this a long-term sustainable lifestyle, because extreme approaches result in extreme disappointment. So if you want to stop taking extreme approaches, just check out all the videos and follow my approach. And that is all. So comment below and let me know, did you always think you had to cut out sugar, or have you been having it in moderation? Is this news to you? Let me know, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!